I'm Bradley Thomas, and this is the Art of Changing Your Life Coaching, and this is the Take Your Road to Freedom Summit, where we're learning how to find your life's purpose and then how to turn that into a business. And today my guest is Amber Villhauer, and she is an online business mentor who supports authors, speakers, coaches to establish a powerful, integrated online presence that gets results and empowers them to make a difference in their industry. Welcome, Amber. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. Just getting all this set up and trying to help others find their purpose, because I think it's what drives people. Once you know it, it makes everything else so much easier, and you're actually able to help people. And then on the flip side, you actually get to make some money too. So let's talk about your journey and how you started helping people and how you found your purpose.
Wow, that's a handful. Just small questions here on the summit today. No big deal.
Just a little.
You know, could I say I found my purpose? I don't know. I mean, I think that I love what I do. I think I'm really good at what I do. I've figured out how to monetize it. And, you know, I definitely wake up in the morning and I'm really excited to go to work and do what I do. So maybe we have many different purposes, you know, and maybe it's not just one thing. I don't know, because if this is what my one purpose is, I think I'd be a little surprised. I definitely did not grow up as a young kid thinking, I want to build websites for people someday. You know, it was, this whole thing really caught me by surprise, to be honest, Bradley. I really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I was at this place in my life where I was really just open to opportunity, and I was really just, as a young kid, I mean 18, 19, I was just kind of saying yes to whatever came my way, and I really put forth effort just to see, I don't know, what I was made of, I guess. I was still just trying to figure out who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And randomly, as I was going to college, I got this job selling Cutco cutlery, which is like high-end kitchen knives. And this totally surprised me too, because before that I'd been working in restaurants. I mean, who sells knives? It was so weird and random how it even happened.
Yeah.
But it turns out that I listened to what they told me to do, and it worked really well. And through that company, I learned sales, communication, training, how to speak in front of groups of people, which, my God, I was terrified to do in the beginning. And before you know it, I'm speaking at conferences in front of 300 people, and they ultimately moved me out here to Denver, which is where I live now, from Tucson, to ask me to help run the division of 14 offices. So now I'm like this 21-year-old still doing the knife thing, but at a management level. And what I didn't even realize was happening is they taught me how to be an entrepreneur. And when I got about as far as I could go in the company, you know, there was really no room for me to grow anywhere else. I didn't have any ambitions to become the president of the company or anything in between. And so I ended up putting in a year's notice, and I left, and I just had this random side gig where I was helping these two partners run an event in Denver. And that conference was teaching entrepreneurs how to get money into their business and how to market it online. Well, I knew how to run events, so I said I can help. And lo and behold, some of the top internet marketing experts of all time show up at this event, and they're speakers. And because I was helping to run the event, I became their friends, and it was easy. So when I started learning about what it was that they did, I mean, I didn't even know what a blog was at this conference. You know, I had no idea. But now I'm learning about blogging and marketing and advertising, and this was still at the beginning stages of the internet. I mean, we are still in the beginning stages of the internet, and this was 8 years ago. And it was just incredible. I felt challenged. I felt excited. So I dove into this industry by total accident. Some miraculous thing happened. I don't know. And it turns out that I had a passion for it. So could your passion equate to a purpose? Absolutely it can. And so then it was just a matter of, okay, what do I do from here? Well, you set up a website, you start blogging, you offer a service, and then 8 years later it's turned into this thriving company, and I have a team of 10, and we help, like you said, Authors, speakers, and coaches build their business online. And that can be through website development, social media support. We do copywriting and search engine optimization and coaching. And I love what I do. I mean, it's so awesome. I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones.
Well, you are one of the lucky ones, and I forgot that you help authors, and I'll have to talk to you soon because my last edits are almost done on my book. So we'll have to see if maybe there's some help there.
Absolutely, I work with a lot of authors. Have a lot of good tips there.
So I forget, that a lot of people that have been successful that I've started surrounding myself with have all had that common thread of Cutco. What there's Hal Rob, there's Honore Corridor. I've got friends locally that are really successful in it. And what do you think that one core value that Cutco taught you that everybody's kind of taken and gone from there?
Oh my gosh, overwhelmed to try to think of one. Cutco is just one of those really surprising opportunities. I mean, they are all about giving college students the foundation for the skills for life, they say, that young adults need to know in order to be successful in life. And so honestly, they're talking to us about saving and putting money into an IRA at frickin' 18 years old. I mean, my parents didn't teach me that when I was 18. How would I have ever known that without, Vector and Cutco teaching me those things? Or communication or believing in myself or anything about entrepreneurship. I mean, it was a company that was very much rooted in integrity. It was not any kind of sleazy door-to-door sales. I mean, it was literally, we were only allowed to do presentations for people that we had permission to see in advance, and they were all the nicest housewives you could ever even imagine. So, I mean, it was just this incredible company that taught me so much. I mean, honestly, I've gone on record before and said that there is no way I would be the person that I am today without that job. I mean, I wish that it was required that everybody had that job so that they could learn these skills to just be successful in all areas of life.
Yeah, I had my niece. She just turned 22 this year, and last year she had an opportunity to join Cutco, and she chose not to, and I was a little disappointed. But she's on her own path to find her purpose. And if she chooses, I'm gonna maybe re-encourage her to take another look at it because I think it gives a lot of people a really good foundation. And
I'll just add one last thing really quick. It's not for everybody, but I would say that if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, then that company is for you. But not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, we have people in all sorts of different professions, so those people may not get as much out of it as what I got out of it. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I'm actually supposed to talk to her this next week about some coaching and stuff like that to help her. She's kind of figuring out where she wants to go and if she wants to move and which college to go to next and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to push her. I just want to help. Yeah, I just want to guide her the best I can without, with also making sure it's her choice, and just help her along the little way.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So it sounds like, your purpose, you just kind of kept going for it, and you had some good people behind you. That was Cutco something that you just discovered, or was it by surrounding yourself with good people, or how did you come to find Cutco?
Total freak accident. I'm not even kidding you. I mean, I came from a high school and middle school experience where I was so unbelievably miserable. I hated myself. I was not getting good grades. I was suffering a lot. I was depressed a lot. I was not surrounding myself with the right people at all. And I remember the day I graduated high school, and I have never felt such relief in my life as to finally have to no longer be surrounded by those people anymore. And it was just kind of this toxic environment, and it was really hard for me to grow up in that environment. But once I left, well, then I felt free to finally figure out, okay, who do I want to be and how do I want to show up in the world? Mm-hmm. And like I said, I've been working in restaurants. I was every position you could be in a restaurant: bartender, manager, bus, a cook, the dishwasher. I was good. And I was looking for anything but restaurant work, because if you've worked in a restaurant, like, you have a threshold. You have a limit for how much you can do that usually. And so I was looking in the newspaper, of all things, and found this ad that said something about, we'll pay you regardless of whether or not you make sales, and it was starting at $14.50 an appointment, which back then was like mother load. I could do all kinds of stuff with that much money. And so they had an interview process. I went in and got the job, and I thought, okay, the product is amazing. I don't really know what this all means yet, but I'm fired up about it. And I went through training. I ended up being the #2 sales rep in my office that summer out of hundreds of sales reps, and it just kind of happened, just like the website thing, just kind of happened. I did not mean to go out and do this, this kind of an industry, but that's what I mean. I think that if you say yes to life, if you show up, if you're not afraid of life, if you don't wait for things to happen to you, but instead you show up in the world and you help other people and you say yes, I think it just naturally happens. At least that's what happened for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And, during these interviews, the last few that I've done, and the whole, as a whole, there's two parts. How did you find your purpose, and then how did you turn that into a business? And not everybody goes along that exact path like what your path was. It's just, you kept persevering, and you actually, it sounded like you weren't afraid to take those steps, and you didn't let fear hold you back. Is there something growing up or someone that that helped encourage you to take those fearful steps where it just felt like, I want to do it, and now you just didn't want to do it, but you had the courage to do it?
My mom. 1,000,000%, it was all her. And I tell her that all the time. She was a single mom and raising myself and my older sister, and my mom has more wisdom than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. And I surround myself with some pretty incredible people. So she is she's up there. She's incredible. And even as a young kid, she used to always tell me, no guts, no glory. And when it came time to decide my company name back in 2007, I named it NGNG Enterprises, standing for No Guts, No Glory. And it was specifically because I remember her always saying that to me growing up. And I thought, what better gift can I give to my clients or even myself as a way of remembering that in this life, you have to have guts if you want to achieve what you want. If you're overweight and you're unhappy, you have to have the guts to ask for help, to get the gym membership, to stop making excuses, to throw away the sugar, to start eating better, to start doing the things that you're scared of or don't want to do if you want to have a better life. In relationships and work, in every area of your life that you can imagine, you're right, it really does come back to that courage. And the reality too, Bradley, is that everybody has so much courage inside of them, but we don't trust ourselves and we don't think that we're capable of it. And I think one of our collective greatest lessons in life is truly learning how to push that inner critic aside, push that fear aside, push all the doubt, all the reasons in the world why we shouldn't be able to do something, and move forward anyway and see what happens. And I always think to myself, what's the worst that could happen? If I'm terrified to record a video, the first time I did, what's the worst that happens? Well, I look like an idiot. Okay, well, so what's to gain? Okay, then I look at what's to gain. Okay, well, then maybe it's worth it. So I think that conditioning your mind that way is so critical if you want to really obtain the life that you know that you want.
Yeah, I think taking a risk, even if it's just taking a small one and then using that as fuel to go to the next one, is a big thread through people who have been successful. And also just for people, you don't have to call them, or they don't think of themselves as successful. They're just the normal everyday heroes. They actually take the risk and they do what they want, and it really makes a difference.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna be. Let's see. Can you hear me all right?
I can.
Okay. I'm having feedback on my end.
Okay.
So technical issue. So I'll just have to work through the fear.
Work through it, Bradley. You can do
it. I've got myself repeating myself every half a second behind because Google's doing its thing or whatever. So yeah, let me get back on track. Sorry about that. The feedback was just really distracting. So fear seems to be something people have to go through. Is there a story that you can recall about fear that helped push you through? Maybe someone else's story, maybe your own personal, that helped encourage you and keeps going you to today?
I have to be honest, Bradley. I feel some level of fear every day. Every single day, I feel some level of fear, and I think that's actually really healthy. And so, I mean, sure, there's all kinds of times when I had to put myself in a group situation. You know, I'm doing a training for 60 people and I'm totally scared about it. Or that, you know, even with my husband, I mean, when we first met, we met at this pumpkin carving contest party, totally cute story. And after the party, I was the one that sent him a message on Facebook first, or at least that's what I thought. Ironically enough, 2 days later, we sent a message to each other at the exact same time, which is eerie.
That's cool.
Our whole story is full of stuff like that. But it was fearful for me to reach out to him. What if I got rejected? What if I made this story up about our connection? You know, what if? Or what if I'm not ready? You know, I'm not ready to be heard again. You know, every day in my business, I am reaching out to people that, oh my gosh, you know, this is scary to me. Or, you know, buying a house. We're buying a house right now. That's scary on a level. You know, all kinds of things in this world are very scary. But I guess by now, I just kind of have some level of ease about it, that maybe the fear isn't a bad thing. Maybe the fear means that we're on the brink of something new and wonderful. And so I think that I have just changed my relationship with fear, and because of that, it doesn't hold me back. And one other thing that I really want to mention for people that have not heard this before is you've probably heard that saying that whatever you think about grows, right? Mm-hmm. If I notice fear come in about something, I know that I've got a very finite amount of time to nip that in the bud and take action in a direction that overcomes that fear, because the only way through it is through it, right? So I take action past that fear and then it's over. But if I don't do that, if I don't catch it early enough, that fear grows a little bit more. And then I think about it, and it grows a little bit more, and all of a sudden that fear can just be all-consuming, petrifying anxiety. I've been there. I know the process well. So I think that it really does come down to catching it early on. The more you're aware of when that fear starts, the faster you can take action against it, and then all of a sudden you don't feel like that fear lives for very long, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. I love how you said that. I had some, I don't know if I would call it fear this morning, but I'm training for my half marathon right now, and I'm in that tail end, that last 10% where I'm doing my training. And I ran my longest leg last week and about collapsed after. Well, not about. I collapsed as soon as I got.
I shouldn't be laughing.
Well, I mean, I collapsed once I got home. Like I was running fast, and then I got in the door, and it was just like, my knees just, I was just done. And that, that kind of scares you, scares you a little bit, because you're like, I know why my legs gave out, because you just ran 12 miles. But it was that kind of scary, like, oh my God, am I hurting myself? Am I not?
Absolutely.
And so this morning when I ran, it was just they call it in the marathon like the tapering aspect, when you're almost to the point, but you got to get ready for you're just in the tail end, and you're not running as long. And in my mind, I wasn't so much afraid, I guess a little bit, but I just didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like it, and I felt like I had accomplished enough. But then, I just stuck with it, and I think that's one of the big things to get over fear, is just to keep doing it, even if you're going to fail. It doesn't matter. Like, just do it, even if you're going to screw up. And eventually, like you said, that fear life, I guess you could call it a lifespan of the fear. That's kind of a different way of thinking of it.
No,
and
you're right, yeah.
Yeah, the lifespan of fear, you kind of kill it right in the butt, nip it right in the butt in the beginning, and you don't have to worry about it as much. It doesn't create worry, and it doesn't grow, just like you said. So I think that's a perfect example. And
Yeah. I
think
could just add here really quick
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I got this fortune cookie that, I kid you not, I held this fortune in my wallet for years. I thought it was so awesome. And it said, "Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain." And I
That's
thought,
awesome.
oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. So if I feel afraid of something, and I do it, I don't have to feel afraid of that anymore. So now it's almost become a personal mission to overcome that fear as fast as possible, so I don't have to feel fear anymore about that thing,
Yeah.
And so, and fear does show up in a lot of different levels. Some are more subtle than others. So even what you experience, there could be a little thread of fear in that. I mean, it could also be other things, but I think that fear is something that can never go away. So if fear never goes away, how can we shift our relationship with it and live with it? Just like a nasty roommate or whatever, if you have to live with it, how do you find the way to live with it?
I hope you're not pointing to your new roommate.
No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah, so you're like, it's like the analogy that just came in my head is like your fear buster, kind of like a ghostbuster.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
my mind works in metaphors, and I always have these crazy
No, that's great. That's a gift.
that make it work for me.
That's
And so yeah, I think the common thread throughout your life was that you just kept going after your fears, and you kept busting them, and busting them, and busting them, and busting them, and now you've become really successful. And that's the pattern. I'm trying to express to people is that sometimes your purpose is very obviously, and you call it the universe, God, whatever, and that it's given to you and it's super obvious. And then sometimes it's a challenge, and you have to overcome that challenge through fear, and to find your purpose or your passion. So I want to shift gears a little bit because we're kind of winding down into business. How have you used your fear busting in business to be so successful?
Well, same kind of answer as before. Fear shows up every single day in my business, and it is about overcoming those fears to grow. Obviously, if you're going to start a business, you want to be focused on growth, right? You don't want to stay stagnant. You don't want to have a decline in sales. You want to have a growth in sales. So when I first started my business, it was all about how do I become as fast as possible without, sacrificing quality, because if I have extra time, then that means that I can grow that way. And that's exactly what I did. I started with blogging. And I got as efficient as I could with blogging. Sometimes I've heard clients say that it takes them hours to write a blog post. It takes me about 20 minutes. And it has the keywords in there. It's got a good flow. It has a call to action. I know the format, and I can knock it out. And I really trust myself. I trust the flow. I trust that I know my content. And now that frees me up to go do other things. So then I would tackle video. And okay, I didn't want to do video at first, or how the heck do I do it, or what should the background be like? I mean, there's all kinds of challenges in anything that you do.
Yeah.
But it was, how do I get really good at video so I can hit record, blurt it out, hit stop record, upload it, and move on. I don't edit my videos. I don't do anything. I just say the content, throw it out there. And now that got me really fast at doing videos. So then it was like, okay, what other marketing methods can I try to grow my business? And one of the main things that I do, it's all about my relationships with other people. So not just how do I get on more summits and podcasts and things like that, which is a great way to build your business, but how do I create more strategic partners, people that really appreciate me and my value and our work product, that send me a regular flow of clients so that I don't have to go out and search for individual clients every day, but I have a regular flow of clients coming to me from all of these different sources. Well, there's a lot of fear that comes up when you have those kind of conversations, especially in the beginning, because you think, am I as good as they, am I going to live up to their expectations or their needs? What happens if they refer somebody to me and then we suck, and then that person's unhappy, and then, there's just so many complications in an arrangement like that. But again, you get the courage, no guts, no glory. If I don't make the effort, I'm not going to get the reward. And, by constantly trying to get more efficient, try new things, master my craft, well, we've grown on average by 30% every single year that we've been in business. And there's something to be said for that. And most people don't make it. And I think the reason most people don't make it is because they don't ever get out of their own way. People are always getting in their own way. Or, just today I sent out a newsletter to my email list, and I said that the enemy is really this need to be perfect in everything. Oh, I can't launch this product until it's absolutely perfect. But then by the time you make it perfect, nobody needs it anymore because your audience has evolved past that need that they had 6 months ago when you started the project. So it's about really putting yourself out there, overcoming challenges, and having trust in yourself and learning along the way. But that fear shows up all the time.
Yeah, it really does. And the reason I jumped in there and smiled and laughed there is because about 20 seconds before you said not being perfect. That's exactly where I was kind of leading. I was going to lead the next question. Is it's about progress, not perfection.
Yep.
And so you just spoke to that. What about you put out your videos unedited, newsletters. I'm sure like myself, you've sent out a newsletter and you're like, uh-oh, I didn't spell something right, or that reads like a second grader wrote it or something. How do you handle? Have you ever had those moments like just let the universe handle it and see what comes back, even though it's wrong? I guess what I'm asking is when you send something out and it's wrong, how do you handle, either someone coming back and saying something about it and thinking you're not professional enough, or that you're sending out wrong content or something like that,
Yeah, actually, it happened just today. I'm very thorough. I mean, I really do try to reread my emails, especially blog posts, not as much. Smack me. My assistant Jill will come in and she'll say, Amber, there's a typo here. Or just the other day on Facebook, I was rushing to do something and my mom sends me a message and she's like, honey, there's a typo. And so what did I do? I laughed and I said, oh, thanks. I was in a rush and I fixed it. And that was that. It was no big deal. Or today when I sent out that newsletter, as we talked about before we went live, I had a whole name change because I got married fairly recently. And I recently updated my Twitter account URL from Amber Ludwig to Amber Villhauer, and I forgot to update my newsletter because it's like way down at the bottom in a nobody cares place of my newsletter, so I didn't even think to update it. And somebody on my list replied back, and it was Heath. Hey, Amber, Heath here. I just thought you'd like to know the link is broken. And I laughed and I said, oh, cool, thanks. And I edited it for the next one, and that's fine. So, I mean, I think that the online world is really forgiving. If it's something really bad and obvious, then I would have sent out a correction and apology, but I don't think I've ever had to do that. If it's just a little typo, I think something that my audience really appreciates about me, Bradley, is that I'm human just like they are. And I make mistakes. I have no desire to be perfect because I don't think perfection even exists, so why would I keep striving for something that I don't believe in? I'm going to show up and do the best that I can, be the best person that I can be every single day, and let the chips fall where they may. I'm not a fit for everybody. And that's okay with me too. I'm going to provide the best service that I can to the people that are naturally drawn to me, and that's been enough. That's been enough to grow my business and to grow my joy in life, and I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're first getting started and say they found their purpose, and now they're trying to do something, they think they have to be perfect or they have to, try to impress everybody. And if you look at all the celebrities out there, the reason they're so popular is because they're really their true, authentic self, and that's who they resonate with. Yeah. And they bring in they bring their unique personality, and then they just start attracting people like that. And if you do that in business,
that's right,
you're going to attract the clients that are going to want to work with you, and they're going to be a lot like you. And guess what? They're going to pay you a lot of money too. So it all works really well. So if anybody's out there thinking, oh, you have to have everything perfect before you, have your launch and and even in this moment, I'm working on the book, and I'm like, I want to get it as perfect as possible. But it's at that stage now in the editing process where I'm like, I don't even want to look at it anymore. I'm like, I'm done with it.
Oh, it's the worst. Editing a book is the worst.
Yeah. And so now I've got I got some good advice about that. It's just I need to find my 10 people to send it out to and to say, hey, it's done. Take a look. Let me know what you find, and let me know your honest thoughts and feedback.
Yep.
And and if people could just take that message and just say, I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to offer an honest, service, they will start attracting people that want that service.
That's true. 100% true.
Is there anything that you can offer that will help people be more authentic? So they can, I know just being honest, but sometimes you get kind of caught up in it. And like in this moment, I'm like flipping over my words, and I'm like, what should I say next? And it's all about being authentic. How can someone who's still tripping over their thoughts about their business and they think it's not going to work, how can they get their message out and be authentic and still look somewhat professional?
I would say take a breath and try to get centered again with your why. I would even say that my purpose isn't that I build websites, but my purpose is that I really want to help people push their ideas and their business forward. And websites is just the way that I do that. And so I think that, if I ever felt unsure of myself, I would take a breath. I would check in with, why am I doing this in the first place? Why am I even sitting here on this summit? Oh yeah, it's because there might be somebody watching this that really needed to hear the message that I'm delivering today to get that belief and get that confidence to move their business forward. And if that is the result, then I just fulfilled my purpose, right? Yeah. And so I guess that, yes, being authentic really is about being honest, but I think it's just being who you are naturally. So many times online, Bradley especially, we're constantly bombarded with this person, and they're doing so awesome, and it's so perfect, and it looks like this awesome package. The grass is not greener on the other side. Just because it looks like somebody is doing awesome doesn't mean that they are doing awesome. So we have to remember that first and foremost. And then we have to remember that if I'm trying to be the next Brendan Burchard or the next Marie Forleo, I'm probably not going to be successful because there are already those two people in the world. What's missing in the world is an Amber Villhauer. So I need to show up with my unique set of talents and experiences and gifts and language and heart and intuition. And if I show up and just be me, first of all, that's easy, right? Because yeah. It's hard work to try to be something that you're not, right? I'm going to be more professional, or I'm going to be nicer, or I'm going to be happier. No, if you can just show up and be who you are in that moment, people connect with your heart. They connect with how genuine they are, and oftentimes I have a sense that's why people hire me, because they see that I'm being real with them. I'm not putting myself up on some pedestal saying, I'm awesome, I'm the pillar of awesomeness, and if you want to be awesome, you need to follow me. No, I'm just real with people. And they love that because there's so much fake stuff out there. They're looking for genuine connection. So if you can just settle, just relax into it, be you, put out into the world whatever you think is of value, it will work every time.
Yeah, I think what you said, what resonated with me there is being, if I could turn it and flip it on my journey that I'm going down right now as well, and building my business, through this series and through helping people with coaching and life coaching, is that I see myself in the future as somewhere across between Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins. I don't know how.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know how it's all
gonna.
Yeah, that is a combo. I'm not sure how it's gonna happen, but that's that's where I feel I would be authentic. Is that I love inspiring people. I love seeing them reach their goals, and I want to encourage them to do that. And how I'm going to do it is, right now I'm doing one of the ways, and some of the other ways will just be encouragement through email and through personal coaching and stuff like that. Yep. But I want to remind people that, I'm being authentic too, is that I don't have it all figured out. I'm not actually in the jungle right now. This is a
You're
background.
not?
No, no, no.
You lied to me. No,
I
I'm just
know,
kidding.
I know. That was my dog, not a monkey.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think you're true, is that what you said is true, is that a lot of people put up a front and they think they have to be perfect, but it's not. You just have to be who you are. And then once that occurs and you're okay with that, you can start stepping into your confidence, and you can start stepping into every part of your life that you've been afraid, because you can just show up as you are, So I think that's... Go ahead.
And let me add one quick thing, because it just hit me that there may be somebody watching that thinks, but I don't know who I am. And if that just happens to be you, where you're not really sure who you are, because Lord knows I spent many years of my life feeling like that, the best place that I would encourage you to look is personal development, right? Hal Elrod, as you mentioned earlier, has a fantastic book called The Miracle Morning. That's where I would start. If you feel like you're not confident in who you are, or you don't know what makes you tick and what makes you angry and what makes you happy and what makes you sad, spend some time working on yourself and do it through his book, because in no time at all, you will learn who you are, and then your purpose will be clear to you. And then if you overcome the fears that we talked about, then you can have any kind of a life you desire.
Yeah. Are you still doing the Miracle Morning yourself?
I have my own variation of it that I do at different points of the day, so I'm always working on myself all the time. So I definitely see a lot of value in it.
Yeah, I am still doing it myself, but it has shifted a little bit.
And that's okay. It's
that's the perfect point. As we kind of wrap up here, this is something that resonated with and I sent out to my newsletter this morning, is sometimes your vision or your goal can change a little bit, but it's really about how you get to the goal. What was the quote? It was, don't change your goal, just change how you get there if you come to like a blocking point or something.
That's
like that.
A great quote. Yep.
And I wanted to ask you, what's your spin on that? That you have a goal and then you come to a giant block, and next thing you know, you feel like you're stuck. How have you overcome things, or maneuvered around, or jumped over the monkey to get there?
You just have to get creative.
Yeah.
And this is especially important, because you might want to learn how to do podcasting. So you buy a podcasting course, and the podcasting expert says you have to do it in this specific structured order. Well, you are a different person with a different set of experiences and tools than that instructor has. So you can't expect that his or her formula is going to work perfectly for you. You have to take the overall idea of podcasting, learn what other people have done, but then come up with your own formula that really works for you. And that's the missing link that most people online don't get. They think, oh, I have to follow it exactly, and oh, it didn't work for me, so this guy's a loser and he ripped me off. No, the formula works. It's just that you are going to have to tweak it, just like the Miracle Morning. Hal says this is a great structure for beginners, and it is a phenomenal structure. But I realized that I'm not the type of person that wants to sit there for an hour and knock out all of it. So instead, I'll knock out a piece here, then do a 30-minute workout, then later in the day, I'll take a walk and do some visualization. At the end of the day, I'm thinking about gratitude and other things. So I do mine throughout the day, and then I don't feel like I have so much pressure to do it in an hour at the beginning of the day. But the end result is still the same. So if you find that waking up and spending that full hour isn't working for you, don't give up on the idea altogether. Think, okay, well, what would work for me? And still do it anyway. So I think you just have to be creative. I think you have to be patient with yourself, and you have to be aware enough to realize when something's not working for you, so you can shift gears and keep moving forward in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, I think it's you just have to keep the awareness that you're still going towards your goal. You're just shifting and making it work.
Absolutely.
Making it work for you, and that goes back to the same message of being authentic to yourself. That just be authentic to yourself, but keep moving towards your goals. And I think that's kind of a nice place to wrap up here. Is there anything you want to add? A last piece of advice as Amber Villhauer now?
Honestly, Bradley, I would just encourage people to really remember the phrase "no guts, no glory." And anytime that they feel like they're suffering, they're frustrated, they're hitting a dead end, they're unsure of themselves, anything like that, just remember no guts, no glory. I mean, it's that phrase has helped a lot of people overcome a lot of different things. So just try to be a little easier on yourself as you move forward. Get the courage, and you'll see that really wonderful things will be in store for you if you do that.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here. I
Thank you,
appreciate your
Bradley.
time. And yeah, thanks so much. Oh, where can everybody connect with you? I almost forgot that.
That's okay. So I have a lot of different websites, and my primary brand for myself is ambervillhauer.com. And if you click on the About page, you'll see a list of all of my different websites, like insightfuldevelopment.com, authenticleaderacademy.com. There's a few of them there. So that's probably the best way to start. And reach out anytime if you want to have a discussion or if you need support. And I'm really honestly happy to help you move your business forward.
Yeah, everybody, if you're watching, go check her out. She's done some awesome stuff, and she's a cool girl too. So thanks again. I appreciate it, and you have a great day.
Thanks, guys.